Hello everyone, happy Halloween and whatnot. Got another bright slap up for you, a bit less shouty than usual, but I want to talk to you about something that's kind of always been grinding my gears. You see, I have what you might call a love-hate relationship with the horror genre. The genre has such great potential to be, everything that I want out of a film. It makes me feel, it makes me think, it makes me explore, aspects of my own psyche and, the general, though I'm somewhat loath to use this term, human condition. Unfortunately, it's also a genre that quite routinely falls short of that potential, because while it can be great, it's also a really easy genre to bullshit. And this has become incredibly apparent to me when I'm skimming through the sparse horror selection on Netflix. It's just every film school dropout seems to think, oh, we can just have, scary monster in the hallways going ooga booga, and that's a f***ing horror film. And I'm here to tell you, no, it can and should have that, but you need so much more than that. But let's, be constructive. So let's start by talking about what makes a good horror movie. Well, you have two basic things you can break it down to: psychological manipulation and proper use of imagery. In terms of the psychological manipulation, what I mean is, first and foremost, take settings, as we discussed in our first Halloween episode, that are familiar to you and make them hostile. Make your sanctuary become a threat. Going along with that, you want to, play on the expectations of not only you, the viewer, but, of your characters. Don't just have it following a bunch of steps, which is what a bunch of those movies do. And of course, the big thing, of course, is fear of the unknown is a big aspect through all of it that you need to play on. And, in going with the imagery, that fear of the unknown is so integral. One of the things I've always loved about, Japanese artwork in general is its use of negative space, especially when you get into, Japanese silk paintings. In a horror movie, what you want is the cinematography equivalent of negative space. You want to show things by not showing. Use what is shown to suggest what might be there and let your imagination fill in the blanks. And of course, when you're in a horrific situation, your mind's just going to run crazy with it, and that's what you want. So having a poorly rendered CGI ghost girl who looks like she's a knockoff of something from The Grudge or The Ring, it's not going to work. Now, I want to take a brief aside to talk about, how to do this and how not to do it with, one of my favorite horror movies, The Haunting. I'm talking about the original black and white one here. This is perfect. This sums up exactly what I just talked about. It doesn't really show you diddly squat happening. In fact, when you go, even though your first time through it, you're being sucked into it, it's very heavy in atmosphere. And atmosphere is definitely the other thing I forgot to mention. But when you look back at it and actually analyze it, not a lot actually is shown on screen. It's a lot of things suggested to be happening, and let's just sort of fill in the blanks. The remake, however, is a case-in-point example of how not to make a horror movie. You can, show the monsters or the ghosts, and that's fine, but this is, I dare say the f***ing Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion movie was more of a horror film than this thing. Now, to its credit, it is a halfway competent sort of classical good versus evil narrative, but that's all it really is. It does everything horror absolutely wrong. But, this isn't a review of those movies. I'll let you watch that stuff for yourself, and if you want to watch a review, I'm sure there are people who've done much better than I have. Now, one thing I have, you know me, I'm an idea guy. I always have things floating in my head. One thing I've kind of always wanted to do, but don't really have the skill sets. I have a great idea, or at least what I think is a great idea for a horror game. But that's a video for another time. If you want to hear me rant about that, click this link right here. Have a separate video on it. Thanks for listening to me rant. Leave comments, let me know what you like and dislike about the horror genre. I mean, there's plenty of stuff I didn't talk about here. It's just a short video series anyway. Be happy to start up some conversations with you in the comments section. But from here, us here at Maison Otaku, have a happy Halloween and watch you some good horror stuff. Hey, buddy. No, you cannot be in the video.